I have been spending so much time on my private channel in particular, but I'm going to share this as well with you. Given the limitations and given the censorship of social media platforms, do not kid yourself. There is a censorship not so much by social media platform, folks, but from the actual consumers of this. There are people who truly do not want to handle, I don't want to say the truth, but the complexity of this. This is like nothing Americans have ever dealt with before. You don't know how to handle this. This is conspiracy theory regarding intrigue. You have a situation that has absolutely, positively no similarity anywhere in anything you're doing now. Americans went from the big intrigue of Matt Gaetz and the McCarthy speakership to this. And what I've been doing is coming up with a series of about 100 or so rules that apply maybe only to this. And may I be presumptuous as to say Americans don't really understand this. This is nothing we've ever seen before. This is nothing we have seen. This involves a new skill set, new tools, new analysis. Think of new glasses or new spectacles or optics or a microscope or something that you're using to evaluate this thing correctly. This is not something you're used to. We don't have this. Americans love apodictic, black and white, very simple to grasp ideas. Very simple, very simple. Things that are just absolutely obvious. Good guy, bad guy. Get ready for this. What we're going to be talking about today are the rules and what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. If you're interested, do me a favor. If you're not interested in this, if you don't care about this, you do not have to apologize to anyone. This may not be your cup of tea. This may not be something you like. You may say to yourself, you know what? I really don't like this. I kind of want to go back to good guy, bad guy in football and that's right. And there's nothing wrong with that. Please, I don't have to tell you this. But if you are interested, if you want to know what's going on, then you've got to accept some brand new rules and nobody's giving them to you. And the first rule is you must turn off American cable news and local news. It's beyond horrible. It would be like covering the Super Bowl from the parking lot of a bar where inside the Super Bowl. Does that make sense? We're talking today to somebody who was in Israel, who knows somebody. Great. We're talking today to somebody who has relatives, or we're talking to somebody who's running for president. What do you think they're going to say? What do you think Newt Gingrich is going to say? This is not analysis. I don't even know what you're doing. Why you're doing this? It's like you're going to a dentist for cancer. You have to ask yourself, what is it that do you really want to understand this, or do you want to just talk about it? If you want to talk about it, go to Fox News, go talk about it. They talk about it all the time. They talk about it, around it. They give you this nursery school, and it's not just Fox News, to be fair. It's CNN, it's everybody, because they don't understand it, they don't grasp it, and they don't want to. They're interested in watches and views and clicks and numbers. They don't care about this. And they also have to play to a particular constituency. And you're having folks who are being careful to stay within their particular lane. You have those who are prototypically right-wing and hardliners who must show this absolute obeisance, this Pavlovian patellar obeisance to Israel, whatever that means. They think there's this monolithic organization called Israel where they all think the same and they all have this one focus. This goes to show you how detached they are. It's the most incredible thing in the world. They're detached by this. They don't get it. They don't understand it. They think there's one idea that Israel is locked into this one, and they don't understand that Israelis do not necessarily mean Jewish or do not mean people who were born in Israel. There's an Arab contingent. It's like nothing we've ever seen. They don't understand this. Then there are other folks in the proverbial, prototypical left wing, the young left wing, the radical left, the big mouth left, the whatever you want to call it, left. Do you understand this? They're from the left, and they think that they must show this, again, Pavlovian, patellar obeisance to everything that is considered Palestinian, as far as they know. Go to Times Square, wrap themselves in whatever the Palestinian, scarf, I don't know the name of it, but wrap yourself in it, stand with others, raise hell, and talk about the beast that is Israel and out of Gaza, which is fine without understanding. Do you know what's happening there? Do you follow this? No. But I do know that my friends say, and the left says, and this group says, that it's okay to hate on Israel. Do it. Let them have it. I don't have to understand the nuances. I don't have to explain this. I don't even have to have an excuse or any kind of an answer. I just have to hate Israel, and I'm in. Now, here are the rules, and I've told you before. Number one, yes, there are people who are prototypically, organically, and absolutely anti-Semitic. They hate Jews. They hate Zionism. They hate Israel at levels that transcend the usual and the political. It's almost an organic thing, okay? Understand that. Yes, they are there. There are Aryans. There are people, and they're in Ukraine. If you want to meet if you want to meet, I mean, really hardcore World War II types of a word that we can't say, that we don't talk about, lest we be sidelined and again, because of this, I don't understand this kind of a schizophrenic level of, I guess, censorship, or I don't even know what you want to call this. I have no earthly idea of what you even want to call this. But this is what we have. This is about war, and this is about money, and this is about nuances. Next, we're talking about levels of conspiracy theories you can't even imagine. You want to talk conspiracy theory, if that's the word you want to use? Oh my God. I'm hearing stuff which is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It is something that I can't even begin to put into words. It is just don't waste your time listening to people who don't know what they're talking about. Now I'm going to say this again. Don't waste your time listening to people who don't know what they're talking about. There is a woman, her name is Efrat Fenigson. She was with the IDF. She's in, I think, Tel Aviv. She has been on with a number of people. I've listened to everyone, her pro-Palestinian, pro-Abu Mazen, pro-anti-Israel, elsewhere, citizen, civilian, alternative, and foreign media, to get an idea of how to triangulate. And what you've got to do is to understand this, to understand how you triangulate. How do I get all of the information? How do I get data? Where do I get data from? Where does this work? Sparky says Hamas is part grift and part controlled opposition. They stirred things up on behalf of the Five Eyes and to generate revenue through donations, even from Qatar, who lobbies DC. Sparky, that may be one of the best introductory explanations and definitions anybody has ever given. And it went over the heads of most people. You've got something. You're understanding something. This ability to embrace this goes to show you the initial mindset that is required before anybody really and truly grasps what's happening here. I'm going to say this again. We don't have this in our country. We have Democrats and Republicans, and we had the CIA, and they may have funded a little bit. They may have been a part of, like funding a lot of COINTELPRO, and we might have had some, but nothing like this. Let's go to the next rule. A little bit about where they're from. Where does Hamas start from? Where is it from? Look up the Balfour Agreement. Close, nice, introductory, ain't going to help you here. We're beyond that. We're past that. Understand what people are doing is. There are people who say things which are so interesting to me. There's a group of us who love to always say to other people, to signal, I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to bring something. It's just like whenever you talk about weather, they go, HARP. Oh, you're in it. The Balfour Agreement. Okay, well, fine. That's interesting. That's terrific. That's like going back and explaining Libya and how it was controlled and created by Mussolini. Okay, great. Here's someone who writes, I'm on the side of peace and ending the conflict with no blood loss. I'm for unicorns and sweetness and candy canes. I'm for sweet music and children playing in the park. That's nice. Wonderful. What are we talking about? They would look at you if you said this, like, what are you? Do you know what you're talking about here? Do you know what this is? Do you understand this? Do you know how far along the patient is terminal? If the patient is called the Middle East or whatever you want to call it, do you know how far along this is? Do you think there is an answer? Do you think somebody says, if you just do this, everything's going to be okay? Are you kidding me? Hamas, 67-ish, created, fomented, produced, platform. Think of it as gain of function, as an antidote, as a way of creating a counter to what was then the PLO and Arafat, and you can, and it was it was this idea that today is insane. But at the time, and this is, you want to talk about, as you would say, conspiracy theory, it doesn't get any better than this. It doesn't get any better than this. To create, to foment, produce, encourage a group to cause internecine battles within them, allowing you to back up and say, it's almost like Tertius Gaudens, the whole the game theory. It's this is when you I was talking to somebody the other day, and I brought this up, and I swear to God, there's a look at me like, what are you talking about? Please accept this reference. And I can't say this enough. and I can't, and I try to pull it away, but unfortunately, I'm on these weird YouTube spirals. The Fox News lunacy. There is someone they have at Fox, I'm not going to mention the name, who I think might be at a third grade level. I don't know what the purpose is. I don't even, there are people speaking today on various platforms who can't even speak English. We have a mayor who doesn't speak English. And once you let people know that the province, the platform, the stage, and the theater of news commentary is not necessarily the, I guess, the performance art of the intelligent. Once you do that, you have just systematically lowered the level of comprehension that people have. Sparky says Hamas was put into place as a replacement for the PLO. Well, yeah, not a replacement per se, but as a bulwark. Tertius gaudens. Remember, when two quarrel, a third rejoices. It's the idea of using the third party to play. The idea of, it's called when two quarrel, a third rejoices. There's somebody who allows an internecine battle. Now, if I just told you right now that Americans can't even grasp what this means. Edie says, I'm a mother of 6, grandmother of 4. It's very simple. Children are dying. They don't care. Now, let me stop you right there. And I'm so glad you brought that up, Edie. And Silver says, 2 questions for you. What impact will this have on our current energy quote dependency? And what will MBS's response be? I'm curious and concerned. Great questions. Edie, let me see if I can explain something to you. And you bring up a wonderful point. First, let me tell you what people will say. What people are saying right now is they are saying all they're thinking about is the horror that was seen recently involving children and women and the elderly. That's it. That's all they're saying. They are saying, I don't care what anybody says. When you do this, and again, I've got to be careful not to say the wrong thing. When you do this, and it rises to the level of an atrocity, when you do this, all bets are off. If that's the way you think, then we're done. We're done. Which makes people say, number one, do you know why that was allowed to happen? Or number two, did it happen? Remember one thing. I am not in a position right now to tell who does what's real and what's not. But I was told by a number of people years ago, I was told under no uncertain terms that I was to believe that Saddam and others pulled children from incubators and did all this stuff. It was testimony under oath. It was live. Now, I am not going to tell you what is and isn't true. I'm not going to even suggest that anything short of horror is not warranted. But if that's all we do, that's it. We're stuck. Now, let me tell you what other people will tell you. They will come in and say, you're right. That is absolutely terrible. May we tell you other things? Do you think, but let me just ask you something. In fact, maybe nothing on this level ever. I don't know if the allegations as even suggested are remotely true. It transcends things we never even thought humanly possible. That being said, Do you know what they would tell you? They would say, may we tell you our own stories of horrors? May we show you this? Are you aware of this, this, and this? They will talk to you about horrors inflicted upon Gazan refugees. They will talk to you about horrors through airstrikes or snipers. And they will show you pictures and they will show you. Do you think, the first question you must understand, do you think that atrocities are one sided? Or do you say, well, this atrocity is worse than another atrocity? Do you know what is being alleged? Do you know what others are saying? Do you know what people have been saying forever? Do you understand what the plight, what the argument is of the Palestinians? If you don't care, if you say, I don't care what they have to say, then we have nothing to talk about. We have nothing to talk about. Sparky says, Egypt warned Bibi, but not appreciating the scope and depth of Hamas's plans, he took no preventative action, allowing Hamas to go through with it, thinking it would distract from his troubles. Well, let me throw one at you. And by the way, that's plausible. That's plausible. That's called lie hop. Let it happen on purpose, okay? Versus my hop. Make it happen on purpose. All right. Let me look at this one for you. And let's look at this story. Let me throw another one at you. What if, and again, I'm not proposing this, but they're saying it there. If you want to hear real analysis, listen to what other folks are saying who live there and who are not worried about towing the same line. Because in America, the right wing, the hardliner, whatever the dare I say, the Fox News perspective is very simple. This Hamas are butchers around, and that's it. And I'm not arguing. It's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. I understand this. On the left, I don't even know what the left is saying. I don't even know what they're talking about. But here's my question. What if somebody said to you that there are two people who are actually, believe it or not, interested? Abu Mazen and Bibi. Both of them say, we got to get rid of this Hamas. Because they're now being fueled by everybody. Now, they were created, they were fueled, they were promoted, and now they're out of control. Now they're metastatic. Now there's no way to even remotely keep an eye on anything that they're doing. Anything. Do you see what's happening with this? What if they're saying, I can't get anything done because a Palestinian, Abu Mazen and the Palestinian Authority, whatever you want to call these names, they're saying, I've got these people to deal with. They're trying to subvert me. Sparky says, DC is quick to point out possible support of Hamas from Iran, but ignores Qatar's known support since Qatar has friendly lobbyists. Do you understand, though, and Sparky, again, absolutely spot on in terms of brilliance and reference. The Iran thing, where is that coming from? Iran says, their official statement, listen to this, we didn't contribute, we didn't cause it, but we support it. What does that mean? What does that mean? Keep your eye on the prize. What does Iran have to do with this? This is the part. The folks who were there, are actually saying, you just figured Iran out now? Do you understand this? Everybody figures, well, you just figured this out now? This is this big, wow. Iran, I've got news for you. When it goes next from Hamas, eventually you've got Syria, you've got Lebanon, you've got Hezbollah, and Iran. All bets are off. All bets are off. Raul Rodriguez says, will there be physical turmoil in New York City among the sympathizers of the two camps? Of course there will be. Of course there will be. This is America. This is New York. Of course. Absolutely. Everybody benefits from disaster. Everybody benefits. I missed this. Eric Thaddeus Walters said Roma, not Jerusalem, is home to the world's oldest continuously surviving diasporic Jewish population since the 2nd century BCE. Vatican walls were built in 854 CE by Islamic caliphates, captured enemy combatants. This is perspective. See, this is something, and by the way, Eric, thank you so much for that incredible perspective, as it were. Let me go back to this and let me stop. Perspective is one thing. Perspective is going to slow us down. Does that mean anything to you? Perspective is great. Let me throw one out for you. Who are the people of Gaza? Who are they? Not Hamas. Barry Tennis says there can be no peace if there is division as nationalities. Oh, Barry, well, this is no, there can be peace. There can be peace, of course, if people say, this is my nationality, this is my faith, this is my tribe, this is my version. Yes, of course there can be. That doesn't necessarily mean it's not about nationalities. See, that's it. We're getting close. But that's not it. Who are the people what is Gaza? You've got two separate groups. In the south, you've got Gaza, and the north, or the west, you've got the West Bank. Two completely different. And you have no idea what people are talking about. You talk about conspiracy theories about why Bibi allowed this to happen or didn't know about this. They say that the level of surveillance is so great at these various posts that a cat walking across can trigger these sensors. A cat. I remember one time when I was in, oh God. I remember I was so jet lagged, but wherever I was, I think it was anyway, I was in Israel. And they had fence, they have kind of like not graded, but smoothed kind of gravel so you can see footsteps. All of a sudden, something went off, and it was like a beach buggy or a dune buggy or something that had like a rocket ship, a rocket engine. This thing came out of, I don't know where this came from, but there was some vibration and it flew by to go into immediately to detect whatever it is. So nobody can understand this. That means either they looked the other way, they wanted it to happen. I don't know. These are just possibilities. Sparky says Hillary's pal and ex-wife is that New York congressman was connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. Hamas is Muslim Brotherhood. Coincidence? Yes. Listen, you want to go into Muslim Brotherhood? Talk about Egypt? You want to talk about revolutions? Remember something, and this is very important. When you find a connection, do not think aha necessarily. This whole thing is one aha. Let me ask the question. And our good friend Eric would go, who are these people called Gazans from the strip, from the envelope? Who are they? What is their beef? Who are they? Does anybody ever talk about them? No. You think that Gaza is Hamas. The Gazans are saying, whatever. Wait a minute. Anybody who helps us, anybody who tries to make our plight known, we thank, but we are not necessarily in part of it. Nobody's ever done a plebiscite or any kind of a vote to talk about, hostage taking and killing. Nobody's done this. Nobody. Do you? We have this because why? Because we have no nuance. We have no nuance in this country. We have nobody. We don't understand anything that's remotely not black and white. We have to have good guys and bad guys. That's the way we think. That's the part that doesn't make any sense. Good guys and bad guys. Let me ask you this question, and I'm asking a question rather than these observations, which are wonderful. How do you explain? How do you explain to them, to these people, that we consider Russia to be the aggressor in terms of Ukraine? And we are doing everything to help Ukraine. Everything. Everything. Yet, in the Palestinian areas, they say, why do you side with Israel? And we say, what are you talking about? They say, but they're the aggressor. And our Fox News mentality says, no, we're not. You're the aggressor. You are. Because as far as Americans are concerned, everything started October the 7th on Saturday. Now, let me explain something to you. I'm going to try this again because I know, and I recognize the fact that people are going to misunderstand what I'm saying because that's who we are in this country, black and white. Robert McNamara says you've got to be able to understand and empathize with the quote enemy. Don't sympathize, empathize. Understand what they're talking about. Remember this Fitzgerald line, and I keep telling you all this time. The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. I look at terrorism, I look at all of this as a combination of a lot of things. Terrorism, whenever human beings are involved in any kind of inhumanity, this is a cancer. When there's war, it's a cancer. Whenever human beings are, it's not ever, well, it's warranted. Well, it might be an unfortunate response to things, but I look at it as an oncologist does. I don't necessarily see who's right, who's wrong, who's the good guys. I don't know about good guys. I don't know anything about good guys. None. I only know about history, I know about reality, and I know about what people think. I don't live there. I want these people to knock it off. That's it. We're never going to have peace where, hey, we're buddies. Americans go to Vietnam and on vacations. We stay there. We hug them. They hug us. We love their food and their culture. And you've got Germany embracing Israel. You've got people who were absolute Japan. We love Japan. They love us. We love their food. We love their culture. We go back and forth. You ain't going to have that here. You ain't going to have that. You're not going to have people say, remember years ago with Hamas and Israel? Yeah. Remember Gaza? That was a long time ago. Huh. Well, everything's groovy now. That ain't going to happen. You do understand that, right? That ain't going to happen. Ever. Ever. If you think we're going to be Vietnam, we're all going to get along and travel and dig each other and intermarry and everybody's happy. No way. And these aren't these artificially created things like in terms of, Ukraine was weird because it was really Russia, then it was Ukraine, then back and forth. And the Soviet Union was this composite, this patchwork quilt of Ukrainian and Georgian, and it doesn't work like that. This is different. Sparky says, fun fact, Turkey, a Muslim nation, sent ships to rescue tens of thousands of Sephardics from Spain in 1492 during the Inquisition. Here's another fun fact too, Sparky. Thank you for that. Look at what Russia did in terms of sending ships to help during the Civil War. Remember that one? Want to go through that again? Great. Let me ask you a question. Nobody's answering me. Who are the people in Gaza? What are they? Who are they? They're refugees. From where? From everywhere. From countries, from city, from Arab states. Who are they? Who are these people? Does anybody have any clue? We're talking about Hamas. I think sometimes people are confusing the two. I think they're confusing. This is what people are talking about. You've got people. You want to talk about, and let me tell you something. I don't know where you've been, and I don't know you can say whatever you want, but if you think that those folks don't have pictures and videos and stories and anecdotes and testimony regarding horrors that they've exhibited, that they've witnessed regarding their families and their displacement, you're out of your mind. And whether you like it or not, you better listen to them because this is what they're saying. They're talking about having they can't get out. It's like, okay, we're free, but we're basically, they call Gaza an open air prison. Now, other people will say, listen, you wanted us to leave. We left. This is Israel. You're on your own. You haven't done anything. You go to Hamas and you ask where the money's going. Good point. Good point. Same thing they did with the Palestinian Authority. The same reason why, by the way, when we said have an election and they elected Hamas. Why? Because of the corruption of Arafat. So my question to you is, rather than us talk about how terrible it is, and it is, and I understand the horrors. There is no. Let's just go on the record. Let's just say, as a matter of fact, and I'll put it on the wall and point to it. There's no excuse for hurting, harming, killing, attacking, battering, molesting innocent people for any reason at any time. Period. No matter who they are. End of discussion. You know what else they're saying? You know, people are saying they're wondering. You want to talk about, see, we conspiracy theories. I heard this Brett Weinstein, I guess this is Eric's brother. What a wimpy. He's so wimpy. Well, I don't want to in any way suggest the conspiracy. Are you buying this? Everything's a conspiracy theory. This whole thing is a conspiracy. You've got groups working with groups within groups. Are you kidding me? You better get with the program there, Sparky. You know, when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro, and these folks are professional. Now, understand and grasp what is happening, and this is important. This is critical. You better listen to what these people are saying. And how are you going to deal with that? Sparky says, before the invasion, Hamas enjoyed less than 20% support of the Palestinians, but Palestinians end up paying for it. That's true. I cannot, Sparky, verify that one. All I know is Hamas is very popular right now. Very popular. And guess who's really important? Kids, young folks. That's the problem. That's the problem. Kids, young folks. What are we going to do with that? This is very frightening stuff, my friends. You've got kids. Remember, it's not so much right now. You've got groups who are never, ever going to get out of this. They're never, ever going to become unlocked. And if you think kids are contaminated, and you can argue whether it's contamination or not, by TikTok, you ain't seen nothing that goes on yet. You can't even imagine what happens with these kids. So let me also tell you, maybe you missed what I was saying. There are people who think that somehow Israel, Bibi, and Abu Mazen are working together, both of them getting rid of Hamas. And that maybe the longest time people have said, listen, we finally have a reason. We finally have theoretically a reason to get rid of these folks that we have. I don't know how many prisoners Israel has, but in the thousands. We'd love to get rid of these. Maybe this is the chance. We'll use this incursion as a chance for prisoner exchange, which is what we've been wanting to do, but we can't. Is that impossible? No, it's not impossible. It's Byzantine. It's the wildest. It's everything you've ever heard. It's incredible. This takes a level of understanding and a level of focus that Americans just do not have. We don't have it. We don't think right. We don't like critical thinking. We don't like anything. We take sides. You know what people keep telling me? This is what I hear all the time. You know what? I don't care. Because what they did to those kids, it's like, are we going to not get past this? But is that it? Let's assume, and nobody's arguing against it. What does that mean? What? What are you supposed to do? It's like for some reason they woke up and they realized, oh, this is terrible. Okay, where have you been? I don't know, but this is terrible. Yes, and then Fox News again is, and you almost have to look at them and say, oh my God, this is the level of this. One person after another saying the obvious. Now here's the thing. Here's the deal. When you also have and by the way, to make it even more complicated, oh my God, let me tell you something. You've got folks within Israel, this is their Secretary of Defense saying, we're going to go into Gaza, and it's going to be a siege, so to speak. Now, this is a term of art. This involves and invokes not war crimes, but the laws of war and combatants and the like. You've got these folks who are saying we're going to shut off their water and shut off their electricity and their gas. You've got people who are coming forward and said they even this is what they're saying now. Listen to what they're saying. They said they counted the calories. They counted the calories. This is what they're saying, an open air prisoner of war camp or whatever it is. You're going to do what to us? What did we do? We had nothing to do with this. Yeah, but you support them. No, we don't. This is where we are right now because there's no such thing as who is the bad guy. Does Hamas represent what? See, because we think, again, I got to say it again, Americans believe it's black and white, good and evil, us and them, good guys, bad guys. We didn't even understand Russia and Ukraine. That was nothing. That was easy. Couldn't understand it because we love to say, listen, I've got room on my Facebook account here. I got to put up a filter. What do I put? I can't put down, I respect all sides. I'm interested in listening. No. Do you understand what's happening now? Americans can't figure this out because we don't know how to think. Barry Taylor says the cause of our conflict is this everlasting duality of desire, the endless corridor of the opposites, creating envy, greed, ambition, aggression, fear. Barry, that may be great on a card or a hallmark, but that doesn't even come close to explain this. Let me ask you something. Do you want to go back to what it was? Do you want to know where this started from? Where did this start? Where did this start? When did it start? Very simple. When? 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 When did it start? When? It's very simple. When was the problem? You can go back, whether it's Vietnam, whether it's World War II, there's a starting point, and you can say, wait a minute, that's not valid. May not be valid to you, but that's when it started. When did it start? When did things start? Thank you, Philly. 1948. That's when it started. Now, you could say, no, it happened before that. Others would say this happened for years and years of diaspora, for years and years of true anti-Semitism, for years and years of Jews looking for a homeland. Okay, you could argue that. That's a valid point. But as far as the folks who are considered right there, and by the way, this isn't good, bad, or indifferent, but this is, if you want to say this is when it started, that's when it started. That's it. Vietnam, you want to talk about the French, you want to talk about the Japanese, you want to go back to the Chinese, you want to go back 1,000 years? Do you want this? Do you? Okay, now let me ask you something. You're in charge of this. We're sitting at not the UN, but we're sitting here. What do you do to fix this? What? What do you need to fix this? First, rule number 1, what do I have to say to keep the money coming my way? What? What do I have to say? This is about money, oil, power. Do you know all of the weapons that's being used by Hamas? Guess where they're coming from? Ukraine, Afghanistan, black market, baby. You want to talk about guns? You want to talk about gun violence? The black market. How'd that happen? George Lenz says poor population demographics in that country. The host country needed to act before they are overrun. Again, interesting, not even close to the closely getting to the problem. It's like when people talk about cancer. It's like where does cancer come from? Sparky says, was it so long ago that the MSM got people to blindly support Ukrainian United States of America? Sparky, thank you. And by the way, George, thank you as well. Our mainstream media are collectively a bunch of children. They don't understand it. There is no... I love the intractability of the problem. I love the complexity of the problem. I love this. I enjoy this. I crave. I love. I absolutely... I love the complexity. I eat the complexity up. I love this. This is what life is. This is what life is. We have been lucky because we think that we're out of Vietnam. Vietnam's not a problem. We're out of World War II. World War II is not a problem. The fall of the Soviet Union is not a problem. Whatever the problem was. That's what we're used to. We have things, it just goes away. This isn't going away. Silver Fox says, back to my question. What will MBS's response? Oh, yes. And Porch Sitters, by the way, thank you as well. Thank you. Mr. Fox, let me explain to you. MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, is going to act as the leader, the god, the territorial Saladin, or whatever name you want to call it. He runs the show. He is going to be able to pull everybody together, forge new alliances, bring people in. We have the BRICS group now: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And look at this, BRICS. Look at this new one. Nobody cared about this the other day. The new, let me see. The new members. I'm going to make sure. Saudi Arabia, Iran, Ethiopia, Egypt, Argentina, and UAE. Do you hear what I just said? BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. The counterpart to the West just added Saudi Arabia, Iran, Ethiopia, Egypt, Argentina, and the Emirates. Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? Do you know what this means? And no, and who gets this? Is the Great Reset. This is MBS, and MBS despises Biden, despises him, because what happened when Biden basically let that information go regarding Khashoggi. Eric Thaddeus writes, Gaza Strip and Ukraine are only 1,000 miles from Italy, which is closer to Africa than Florida is to Cuba. Maps are helpful and available at your local Dollar Tree store. Yes. Think about this. The Gaza and Ukraine are only 1,000 miles from Italy, which is closer to Africa than Florida. And Florida is to Cuba. That's just incredible. Maps are, it's funny you say this, as an aside, Eric. There was a Amnesia, not America. I think you're correct. I think Gore Vidal. Thank you, Sparky. Gore Vidal said this one. By the way, Eric, years ago, there was an actor, a comedian or somebody who was in France and they were making a movie. And this one particular actor said, "Is there any good Italian food here?" And they said, "Well, we'll take his place." And they said, "I'm not crazy about French food. I'm sorry, but is there any Italian? I like pasta, I like Italian food. Is there any Italian food?" And they tried to go to Paris here and this and Lyon and Bordeaux. And they said, I don't know. And like on his last day or penultimate day, antepenultimate day, whatever it was, somebody says, "Well, we can just drive to Italy." He said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, we'll just drive there." He said, "We can drive there?" "Yeah." He says, "Why didn't we go?" Because this American actor, not knowing geography, thought of Italy as being in outer space. This is, again, something Americans don't understand. We don't have anybody. We have, the closest we have to ethnic is maybe the South versus the Northeast versus the Cajuns versus whatever it is. We don't understand this. Now, also, you've got to understand, going back to MBS, who is it that benefits from this? As long as there's money, remember, money, oil, Americans, people, humans are not interested in the humanity aspects of this. Nobody cares about this. It's about money. It's about bucks. It's about that. It's not about what you think. You wouldn't believe, you wouldn't be able to even comprehend the level of depth of this. There's money in chaos, money in instability, money. When people are upset, that's when things get done. You don't have Israel make concessions when everybody's happy. You don't let Bibi say the right thing when things are great. No. And I'm telling you the thing that you're missing. When I say you, please forgive me for this. It's not you. It's what America misses. Understand what they think. It's so old. In New York or any place for that matter, we're always trying to figure out what is it that. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of something. Okay, you ready for this? In New York, in certain parts, there was a proliferation of the old days of what was called organized crime. Okay, LCN, the Life, the Mafia, whatever you want to call it. And people would ask the question, what is it that motivates people to want to be in the mob? What is it? Why does somebody want to be in the mob? What is it? Explain that to us. Why would somebody, pray tell, want to be in? And you say, people are raised with this. This is hero status. This is the way they think. This is the way they act. This is what they look up to. This is their world. These are their heroes. What are you talking about? When you want to go and you want to find out, why do people steal? Let's work on the, dare I say, lower income African American people of color. You got to sit down with them and say, tell me your point of view. I'll never forget this one. Years ago, during one of the riots that took place, I forget what the riot was. It was some, and white folks always say, why do these black folks always burn down their own neighborhood? Why do they riot and burn down their own stuff? Now, never forget, there was an African American who said, this isn't our stuff. We don't have any stuff. If we owned stuff, if we had stuff, if we were property owners, we would care about stuff. This isn't ours. And I never forgot that. Now, does that explain anything? No. I mean, does that justify it? But it explains it's their position. And you might not like their position, but that's what they're saying. Sparky says some international persons or other entities need to ostensibly remain neutral, or else we're left with no one is left to mediate. A big flaw in the you're either with us or against us doctrine. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Let me come to you. Let me explain this to you. Let me explain this to you. First and foremost, number one, if somebody were to say, all right, Gaza, what's your beef? What do you want us to do? We're Israel. What do you want us to do? We're giving you 20,000 or whatever job application. We let you come into Israel. Granted. They're going to say, but we live in isolation. Okay. What's your beef? We live in basically a cordoned area. We can't leave. In the old days, after 2005, people said, you blockaded us. Okay, that was then. What is to be done now? What is it? What do you want? But more important, here's the deal. And listen carefully. Whether whether Gaza agrees with this or not. The question is, what is Hamas going to do once we make this concession or this deal? You tell me. What is Hamas going to do? Tell me. That's all I'm interested in. That's it. Tell me. See, you can do whatever you want. You can tell that because the beef that everybody have. No, I shouldn't say we, because this is not technically our thing, but the beef is not with the folks of Gaza. The beef is with Hamas. So what do you deal? Does Hamas say, wait a minute, we don't give a damn what you do. We don't care. What do you mean you don't care? What do you mean? We don't care. You don't care? What? Then you turn to Abu Mazen with the Palestinians. Well, wait a minute. I'm not involved in this. Who's in charge? Figure that one out. I'd love to work something out, but if I make a deal with somebody, who's in charge? It's like you're dealing with I'm going to give you this example, but like with Attica, you say, do you, Mr. Prisoner Representative, do you have the authority to speak on behalf of the rest of it? Well, what are we supposed to do? What do we do? What do we do? How do we work this out? But let me stop right now. Let me stop. Tell me. That's all I want you to do. Tell me that after our speaking for 59 minutes, that you appreciate the complexity of this, that you embrace the complexity of this. Tell me that you are at home with the complexity, the Byzantine, this absolute rat's nest of whatever you want to call this. Tell me that you are able to grasp and fully embrace the level of Again, I keep saying complexity. But what this is. And you do realize, you do recognize that nobody that I've heard of is saying, is justifying, is explicating, is absolving the abduction and kidnapping and molestation of innocent people. Would you do me a favor, though? In addition to this, would you make it a point to at least learn of what the Gaza advocates, listen to what they are saying? Listen to what they are saying. You're never going to learn anything listening to Harris Faulkner all day long. I was listening to some folks from the great George Galloway, Max Blumenthal. I'm not asking you to. I just listen to what they say. Understand what people are saying. Listen to it. This is the easiest thing in the world. Barry says, I think Eisenhower nailed it when he said the only way to win World War III is to prevent it. Well, Barry, I think you're right, but the issue is, what's World War III going to look like? I also want you to make it a point. Please listen to this. Write this name down. She's very good. Her name is Efrat, Efrat, Fenigson, Fenigson. Excellent. Excellent. Listen to another perspective. Listen to another perspective. And people are getting all upset. Well, some people are talking about ceasefire. You can't say ceasefire. You can say whatever you want. Here's another thing too. This is the part that gets me. This is the part that kills me. I want you to know, and I think I've said this, I love my country. Us. You, me, blues music, laughing, the Beatles, which is kind of American. Our culture, fried chicken, I'm saying it, football, Ed Sullivan, the 60s, all that stuff. I like us. I love us. It's the only country I want to live in. Sorry. I'm so bad, I don't even want to travel. I have no interest. I've got a friend of mine who says, hey, do you want to go to Paris? I'm saying, not really. I'll go to Paris. I go on YouTube. Oh, that's what Paris is like. Okay. No, you got to be there. I'm sure I do. I don't have any interest. Hey, you want to go to Mykonos? Not really. Why not? Just show me a picture of it. My favorite is this. Want to go see the Eiffel Tower? I've seen it a million times. What am I going to do? No, you got to go and see it. I don't want to see it. Nope, there it is. It's like the Griswolds. So I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not the ugly American. I have no wanderlust. I've got a friend of mine who passed away recently. He went to Iceland and sorry. I'm so cornpone. My dream is to have a motor coach, one of these, like a really fancy, like a country music bus, and to have a driver and go all over the United States. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm real over, because it's so huge and it's another place. And I love it. And I feel safe. And a lot of rich folks I know are saying, we ain't going, we're not traveling. So I love my country. The government, they hate us. People around the world hate us. And it breaks my heart. They've hated us since Vietnam. Look at this one. I looked this up. This still kills me. We are in the U.S. controls about 750 military bases in 80 countries worldwide and spends more on its military than the next 10 countries. Let me say that again. 700 bases, 750 in 80 countries. Why? Because of this. Money? No, this. It's my old favorite joke. What is the purpose of this? What are we doing? They hate us. They hate us. And you know what? If Canada had a military base here, I'd say, who in the hell do you think you are? Our country is the worst when it comes to geopolitically. Donald Trump, let me ask you something. Does anybody think, do you think things would be different if Donald Trump were president now? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you think things would be different, better, or not as bad, I should say, if Donald Trump were president? Yes or no? Do you? Do you? Yes or no? Hillbilly says yes, 100%. Do you think people would say, I don't want to do it with him, with Trump? Trump's crazy. Trump walks around tumescent, I think you know what that means, over the notion of this. He loves this. You don't want to do that with him. Oh, no. No. But we have this old doddering coot who's running the U.S. now. He doesn't pose any threat. And not only that, he's so upset because MBS is furious. Furious. Now, MBS supposedly chopped up Khashoggi. Okay. You want to argue that? You want to litigate that? Trump said, I'm not going to get into this right now. Sorry. You want people bringing up our past? Sorry. Not a good thing. Mutilation and dismemberment, not a good idea. But you know what? We don't worry about this because we got to talk about oil. And we have to worry about food and things like that. And remember this, I haven't brought up food one time yet. I haven't brought it up one time. But as I've mentioned before, and I don't know how to tell you this, I don't know what I think to myself. Do people just, yeah, I think it's true. Food emergencies. We are looking at it. And that's why I'm telling you, I'm just going to tell you one more time. You got to go to preparewithlionel.com. They're offering 25% off of a 3-month emergency food kit, and that will just get you going. What we're going to see coming up right now is going to scare the hell out of you. So that's preparewithlionel.com. You know what to do, my friends. You know what to do. Oh, and one more thing. Speaking of our great sponsors, hang on a minute. MyPillow.com is alive and very well. And now is the time for sheets and blankets and comforters and slippers with more sales and more deals from the greatest company, American, proud and bold, MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. Get a free gift, no purchase necessary. You got it? Good. Now listen to me. You know what scares the hell out of me? Sleeper cells, lone wolf, worldwide cacophony, worldwide disaster, worldwide disaster. That's what scares me. Lionel could be in an RV like Charles Carroll. I love that. On the road. Remember his other family? He had that? Sparky, do you remember that? Remember that? He had and his own family? I was like, wow. Who knew? Who knew? Now, let me also tell you something right now, and let me just explain this. I'm going to leave this one more time. If you start off by saying, I don't care what they did to kids, we're not going to get anywhere with this. Can we all agree with that? Can we all agree and say, yes, there is no excuse for this. You have to move to the next square, so to speak, the next position. You have to. You have to move beyond the next position. Period. End of discussion. End of discussion. That's it. Now, my friends, I want to thank you. We've been on this for an hour and 10 minutes. Thank you for this. I hope we're going to do this again because my job, my focus here is to teach you, to train you, to assist you in how to rethink this, how to appreciate it, how to critically think, how to look, how to take in considerations you're not going to hear on Fox News. You're not going to hear on MSDNC. You're not going to hear it. You're just not going to hear it because they don't have time for this. Their job is not to elucidate or to make people wise or smart. Their job is to get to the point and move on. Okay? It's that simple. That's simple. You have been wonderful. And I want to thank you. And Sparky, thank you so much. Barry Taylor, you're a mensch. Thank you for this. Eric Thaddeus Walters, our maestro, magister in Latin, my dear friend, has been a friend of the show since the beginning. In Roma, thank you, Professor. Thank you for this. Port Sitters, thank you. Silver Fox, as usual. George Lenz, looking at through his unique lens. Philly, thank you. And Raul Rodriguez, Barry Taylor, I said. And let me see. Edie Crowley, thank you so much, Edie. And thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. We will see you tonight, this eve at 7 p.m. to continue this. I'm going to have more thoughts, more rules, more everything. And again, I thank you. If you pray, really start praying now because the world needs it. See you tonight, 7 p.m. But don't forget, my friends, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.